The space station Orbital Dawn floated silently in the darkness, a meeting place for species from across the galaxy. Today was a big day. The Galactic Federation had finally agreed to talk to humans. Kim Ji-hoon stood near the docking bay, adjusting his suit. He was a human diplomat, chosen for this mission because he was calm and smart. Beside him was Lee Yuna, an expert in alien languages. She knew how different species communicated, not just with words but with gestures and body language. Captain Park Dae-hyun watched from the ship, his arms crossed. He didn't trust aliens. "Be careful," he had told Ji-hoon earlier. "They think we're weak." Ji-hoon nodded but stayed confident. Humans had worked hard to reach the stars. Now they had to prove they belonged. The doors slid open. A tall alien, covered in smooth silver scales, stepped forward. This was Calvor, a high-ranking diplomat of the Galactic Federation. His yellow eyes studied the humans coldly. Behind him, other aliens watched, some with curiosity, some with doubt. Ji-hoon smiled and did what humans always did when meeting someone new. He held out his hand. "Welcome," he said. "We are honored to meet you." Calvor froze. His frills, a fan of skin around his neck, suddenly flared wide, like a cobra's hood. The aliens behind him hissed and stepped back. Lee Yuna's eyes widened. "Ji-hoon," she whispered urgently. But it was too late. Calvor's voice was sharp. "You dare challenge me?" Ji-hoon blinked. "What?" "You offer the Vorkan gesture," Calvor snarled. "A sign of battle." The humans stared in shock. A handshake. A challenge. Lee Yuna quickly stepped forward. "There's been a mistake," she said. "In our culture, this means peace." Calvor cut her off. "Ignorance is no excuse." He turned to leave. "The Federation does not waste time with savages." Ji-hoon's heart pounded. If the aliens walked away now, humanity might never get another chance. He had to fix this. Fast. "Wait," he called. Calvor paused but didn't turn around. Ji-hoon took a deep breath. "If this gesture means something else to you, then let me learn. We didn't come to fight. We came to understand." For a long moment, the alien didn't move. Then, slowly, Calvor looked back. His frills were still raised, but his voice was quieter. "Your words are careful," he said, "but your actions speak differently." Ji-hoon didn't back down. "Then let me prove it." The aliens whispered among themselves. Calvor studied Ji-hoon's face, as if searching for a trick. Finally, he spoke. "Very well. But know this, if you fail, your species will be marked as *unworthy*. The threat hung in the air. Captain Danyan's voice crackled in Ji-hoon's earpiece. "This is bad. If they leave angry, the Federation might block us from trade, from alliances." Ji-hoon didn't answer. He kept his eyes on Calvor. Lee Yuna leaned close. "We need to fix this fast," she muttered, "before they decide we're too dangerous to talk to." Ji-hoon nodded. He had one chance to change their minds. And it all started with a simple handshake. The docking bay was silent. The aliens stared at Ji-hoon like he had pulled out a weapon. Lee Yuna's mind raced. She knew about alien customs, how some species used claws to show respect, or how others bowed with all four arms. But this, a handshake meaning war. Calvor's frills twitched. "You humans are either very brave," he said, "or very foolish." Ji-hoon kept his hand steady. He didn't pull back. "We didn't know," he said, "but we want to learn." The other aliens muttered. One, with dark green skin and 3 eyes, stepped forward. "The Vorkan is sacred," it hissed. "Only enemies offer it without warning." Captain Dayan's voice buzzed in Ji-hoon's earpiece again. "They're talking about leaving. Do something." Ji-hoon took a slow breath. If the aliens walked away now, humans might never join the Galactic Federation. No trade, no alliances, no protection from bigger threats. Lee Yuna suddenly moved. She placed her hand on Jihoon's arm and gently pushed it down. Then she faced Calvor and did something strange. She pressed her palms together and bowed slightly. The aliens froze. Calvor's frills lowered just a little. "What is this?" he asked. "It's a human sign of peace," Yuna said. "No weapons, no challenge, just respect." The green alien tilted its head. "This is not in your records." Yuna nodded. "Because we didn't think to share it. We thought the handshake was universal." A tense silence filled the room. Then Calvor made a clicking sound, like a laugh, but colder. "So you admit your ignorance." Jihoon's jaw tightened. This wasn't working. The aliens saw humans as stupid now. He had to try something else. "No," Jihoon said suddenly. "We admit we're *new*. He stepped forward. "But we learn fast." Calvor studied him. "Prove it." Jihoon blinked. "How?" The alien pointed at Jihoon's hand. "You gave the Vorkan *. In our culture, that means you want to test your strength against mine." Jihoon's stomach dropped. A fight. He wasn't a soldier. Yuna's eyes widened. He didn't mean. Calvor ignored her. "If you take back the challenge, you show weakness, and the Federation has no place for the weak." Jihoon understood now. If he backed down, humans would look cowardly. If he fought, he might lose badly. Captain Dahien's voice growled in his ear. "Don't do it. We can find another way." But Jihoon made his choice. "I didn't know the meaning before," he said, "but I do now." He held out his hand again. "And I stand by it." The aliens gasped. Even Calvor looked surprised. "You would keep the challenge?" he asked. Jihoon nodded. "If that's what it takes to show we're serious." Calvor's frills rose again, but this time, it didn't seem like anger. More like interest. "Then we will have a trial," he said. "Not to the death, but to prove your kind's worth." The green alien made a worried sound. "The rules." "Will be fair," Calvor interrupted. He locked eyes with Jihoon. 3 tests: strength, mind, and spirit. Pass them, and the Federation will hear your plea. Fail, and you leave. Forever. Jihoon didn't hesitate. "Deal." Calvor reached out, but instead of shaking hands, he pressed his palm against Jihoon's chest. A sign of agreement, maybe. Then he turned and walked away, his guards following. The moment the aliens were gone, Yuna grabbed Jihoon's arm. "Are you crazy?" she whispered. "We don't know what these tests are." Jihoon exhaled. "We'll figure it out." Dahien's voice came through the earpiece, sharp. "No, I'll figure it out. Get back to the ship. Now." As they hurried away, Jihoon glanced back at the empty docking bay. He had just promised to face unknown trials, all because of a simple mistake. But maybe, just maybe, this was humanity's chance to prove they belonged. The human ship's meeting room was tense. Captain Park Dahien paced back and forth like a caged animal. His boots thumped against the metal floor. "This was a mistake," he growled. "We should leave now before they humiliate us." Lee Yuna sat at the table, her fingers flying across a tablet. "I'm searching their databases," she said, "trying to understand these tests." Kim Jihoon stared at his own hand, the same hand that had caused all this trouble. "We can't run away," he said quietly. "This is our only chance." A beep sounded from the door. Engineer Han Suman entered, carrying a small device. "I might have something," she said. Dahien stopped pacing. "What is it?" Suman placed the device on the table. It looked like a simple metal box with blinking lights. "While you were talking, I scanned their ship's energy patterns. This can help us understand their technology better." Yuna looked up. "Good thinking, but we need to focus on the trials first." A loud knock came at the door. Everyone froze. The door slid open, revealing Calvor and 2 alien guards. The silver-scaled diplomat entered without waiting for an invitation. "Your first test begins now," he said. Ji-hoon stood up. "So soon?" Calvor's frills twitched. The strong adapt quickly. The weak complain. He held out a small orb that glowed blue. "This is the trial of knowledge." Suman leaned forward, eyes bright with curiosity. "What does it do?" The orb suddenly floated into the air. Lights danced across its surface. Then it spoke in a strange language, clicks and whistles that made no sense. Calvor crossed his arms. "You have 1 hour to understand this message. Fail, and you lose." Dahyun's face turned red. "That's impossible. We've never heard this language before." Ji-hoon put a hand on Dahyun's arm. "Let Yuna try." Yuna was already moving. She pulled out a recorder and began capturing the sounds. Her eyes narrowed in concentration. The aliens watched, their expressions unreadable. Minutes passed. The orb kept repeating the same strange sounds. Yuna played them back, slower each time. Then suddenly, she smiled. "It's not just a language," she said. "It's a math problem." Calvor's frills stiffened. "Explain." Yuna pointed at the orb. "The pitch changes follow prime number sequences. The pauses are equations." She grabbed a pen and began writing numbers. Suman looked over her shoulder. "She's right. It's asking us to solve for an unknown variable." Ji-hoon watched as Yuna and Suman worked together. Numbers filled the screen. The aliens whispered among themselves. With 30 seconds left, Yuna stood up. "The answer is 703, she said firmly. The orb stopped glowing. A deep tone sounded. Then it projected a symbol in bright green light, the alien sign for correct. Calvor stared at Yuna. No species has ever solved it that quickly. Dahyun grinned. Humans are good with patterns. But Calvor didn't smile. This was only the first test. The next will not be so easy. He turned to leave, then paused. "Tomorrow, you face the trial of strength. Be ready." When the aliens were gone, the humans let out a collective breath. Yuna collapsed into a chair. That was close. Suman examined the now silent orb. They were testing our ability to learn, not just our knowledge. Ji-hoon nodded. "They want to see how we think." Dahyun crossed his arms. "Tomorrow's test sounds worse. Strength. None of us are warriors." A quiet beep came from Suman's device. She checked it, then smiled. "Maybe not, but I think I found something interesting about their technology." Everyone gathered around. On the screen was a diagram of an alien power core, with a clear weakness marked. Ji-hoon looked at his team. Humans might not be the strongest species, but they were clever. And tomorrow, they would need every bit of that cleverness to survive. Morning came too quickly. Ji-hoon hadn't slept well. The thought of today's test made his stomach twist. Humans weren't the strongest species in the galaxy. Everyone knew that. The team gathered in the ship's common room. Yuna looked tired but determined. Suman was excited, her hands full of tools. Dahyun stood stiffly, his military training showing. "All right," Ji-hoon said. "Any ideas how we handle this?" Suman held up a small device. "I made something last night. It might help." Before she could explain, the door alarm sounded. Calvor and his guards had arrived. The alien diplomat looked at each human in turn. "Follow me," he said simply. They walked through the space station's long corridors. Alien eyes watched from every corner. Some creatures were huge, with muscles like boulders. Others looked weak, but moved with dangerous grace. Ji-hoon swallowed hard. They entered a large circular room with high walls. In the center stood a strange machine, a tall pole with glowing rings floating around it at different heights. Calvor gestured to the machine. "This tests strength of body and mind. You must jump through the rings in the correct order." Dahyun frowned. "That's it. Just jumping." One of the guards chuckled, a wet, gurgling sound. Calvor's frills twitched. The rings are made of energy. They burn if touched wrong, and they move. As they watched, the rings began drifting slowly up and down the pole, changing speed unpredictably. "You have 3 attempts," Calvor said. "Fail, and you lose." Yuna studied the rings. There must be a pattern. Suman was already scanning the machine with her device. "I think," she started, then stopped when a guard stepped closer. Ji-hoon took a deep breath. "I'll go first." He approached the machine. The bottom ring glowed blue, about waist-high. The next was green, higher up, then yellow, then red at the very top. Ji-hoon jumped through the blue ring easily. It tingled but didn't burn. The green ring moved suddenly to the left. Ji-hoon twisted in midair and barely made it through. A small burn mark appeared on his sleeve where he brushed the edge. The yellow ring dropped without warning. Ji-hoon landed awkwardly, then had to leap quickly to reach it. His legs burned with effort. The red ring was too high. Ji-hoon jumped as hard as he could, and missed. He fell back to the floor, panting. First attempt. Failed. Calvor showed no reaction. Next. Dahyun went second. His military training helped. He timed his jumps perfectly through blue and green. But at the yellow ring, he hesitated a second too long. The ring moved, and he crashed through it wrong. A loud zap sounded. Dahyun fell hard, clutching his arm where the energy had burned him. Second attempt. Failed. 1 chance left. Yuma looked pale. "I'm not strong enough for this." Suman bit her lip. Then her eyes lit up. "Wait. I think." She whispered quickly to Yuna. Yuna's face changed. She nodded, then stepped forward. "I'll try." Calvor seemed surprised but motioned for her to begin. Yuna didn't jump right away. She watched the rings carefully, counting under her breath. Then, she walked around to the other side of the machine. The aliens murmured. This wasn't normal. Yuna waited, then suddenly jumped through the red ring first. A gasp went through the room, but the ring didn't burn her. Next she went through yellow, then green, then finally blue, completely backwards from the order Ji-hoon and Dahyun had tried. When she landed after the last jump, the machine made a pleasant chime. All the rings turned white. Calvor's frills stood straight up. How? Suman couldn't hold back her grin. The colors were a trick. The real order was in the movement patterns. Red moved slowest, so it was actually first. Ji-hoon stared at Yuna in amazement. She hadn't used strength. She'd used observation. Calvor was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Clever. But the final test will not be so easily fooled. As the aliens led them away, Ji-hoon realized something important. The Federation kept testing humans in ways they should fail, and yet they kept finding ways to win. Maybe being weak wasn't such a bad thing after all. The humans sat in their ship's common room, exhausted but hopeful. 2 tests down, 1 to go. Captain Dahyun rubbed his burned arm. That was too close, he grumbled. Lee Yuna smiled weakly. But we won. Han Suman was busy with her tools. This last test. Trial of spirit. What does that even mean? Kim Ji-hoon stared at the wall. Whatever it is, it won't be fair. They don't want us to win. A loud knock interrupted them. Calvor stood at the door, his silver scales gleaming. Come, he said. The final test begins. The aliens led them to a new part of the space station, a round windowless room with a single chair in the center. Strange machines lined the walls, humming softly. Ji-hoon's skin prickled. Something felt wrong here. Calvor gestured to the chair. This tests the spirit. One of you must sit. Dahyun stepped forward. I'll do it. But Yuma grabbed his arm. Wait, what exactly will happen? Calvor's yellow eyes gleamed. The machine will show your deepest fears. Face them, and you pass. Run from them, and you fail. Suman's eyes widened. That's not a test. That's torture. It is our way, Calvor said simply. Ji-hoon looked at his team. Dae-hyun was strong but impatient. Yoona was smart but nervous. Suman was clever but young. I'll do it, Ji-hoon said. He sat in the chair before anyone could argue. Cold metal bands closed around his wrists and ankles. Then everything went black. Ji-hoon opened his eyes. He stood on a familiar street, his hometown on Earth. The sun was shining. Birds sang. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. A shadow fell across the street. Ji-hoon looked up. A massive Federation warship filled the sky. Alien voices boomed from above. Humanity has failed. Your planet will be destroyed. Ji-hoon's heart pounded. This wasn't real, was it? The ship's weapons glowed red-hot. People screamed and ran. Ji-hoon saw his mother's face in the crowd. "Mom," he shouted. She didn't hear him. The weapon fired. Back in the room, Ji-hoon's body jerked in the chair. Sweat poured down his face. Yoona gasped. "We have to stop this." Calvor blocked her way. The test must continue. Ji-hoon found himself in space, floating near a broken ship. Human voices crackled over the radio. "Mayday! Mayday! Federation ships are attacking us." Through a window, Ji-hoon saw Captain Dae-hyun trapped inside the wreckage. "Help me!" Dae-hyun screamed as flames spread. Ji-hoon tried to move, but his body wouldn't obey. He could only watch as his friend. In the real world, Ji-hoon was shaking violently. Alarms beeped on the machines. Suman pushed past the aliens. "He's having a heart attack. Stop the machine now." Calvor didn't move. If his spirit is strong, he will survive. Ji-hoon stood before the entire Galactic Federation. Thousands of alien eyes watched as Calvor announced, "Humans are weak. They do not belong among us." One by one, every alien turned away. Earth's lights went dark. Humanity was alone again. Forever. Ji-hoon fell to his knees. This was his greatest fear, failing his entire species. Then, he heard something. A voice. Small but clear. "Get up." Ji-hoon looked around. Who said that? "Eat up," the voice shouted. It was his own voice. Ji-hoon's eyes snapped open. He was back in the chair, gasping for air. The machines were screaming. With all his strength, he spoke through clenched teeth. "We are not weak." A loud bang shook the room. The chair's restraints snapped open. Silence. Then, a soft chime. The machines all turned green. Calvor stared in shock. You overcame the test." Ji-hoon stood on shaking legs. "Human spirits don't break so easily." The alien guards murmured. Calvor's frills trembled. Finally, the silver-scaled diplomat bowed his head. "The trials are complete. The Federation will consider your application." As the aliens left, Ji-hoon collapsed into his friend's arms. Dae-hyun grinned. "You did it, you crazy bastard." Yoona wiped tears away. "They have to accept us now." But Suman was watching Calvor leave. "I don't think this is over yet," she whispered. Ji-hoon nodded. They had won the battle. But the real challenge might still be coming. 3 days had passed since the trials ended. 3 long days of waiting. The human team sat in their ship's common room, trying to stay patient. Captain Dae-hyun paced like a caged tiger. Lee Yoona studied alien language files. Han Suman tinkered with her devices. Kim Ji-hoon stared at the ceiling. Then, a loud beep at the door. Everyone jumped up. Calvor stood outside, his silver scales polished bright. Behind him stood 6 other aliens in formal robes, the Federation's High Council. Ji-hoon's mouth went dry. This was it. "Come," Calvor said. "The Council will announce their decision." The walk to the meeting chamber felt like the longest of Ji-hoon's life. Alien eyes followed them through the station's halls. Some looked curious, others looked angry. The meeting chamber was huge and round, with seats rising in circles all around. Hundreds of aliens filled the room, representatives from dozens of species. A loud murmur filled the air as the humans entered. At the center stood a tall platform. Kelvor led the humans up to it. The room fell silent. An ancient-looking alien with purple skin stood. This was Elder Vrix, leader of the council. His voice creaked like old wood. "Humans, you have completed the trials. Now hear our judgment." Jihoon held his breath. Elder Vrix continued, "By law, we must accept any species that passes all tests. But," he paused, "some on the council believe humans are different, dangerous." A loud grumble came from the crowd. Several aliens nodded. Kelvor stepped forward. "I have watched these humans closely. They are weak in body, but strong in mind. They do not follow rules, but they solve problems." An angry voice shouted from the crowd, "They don't respect our ways." Jihoon felt his face grow hot. He stepped forward before thinking. "We do respect you. We just see things differently." The room exploded in noise. Aliens shouted at each other in a dozen languages. Elder Vrix raised a bony hand for silence. Then he pointed at Jihoon. "You, human, come here." Jihoon walked to the elder, his legs shaking. The old alien studied Jihoon's face closely. Then he did something unexpected. He held out his hand, palm up. A murmur ran through the crowd. Kelvor's frills stood straight. "Elder, that is the human way." Elder Vrix smiled slightly. "I know." Jihoon hesitated. Then slowly, carefully, he placed his hand on the elder's. The room held its breath. Elder Vrix nodded. "This handshake, it is a bridge between species, a risk, a trust." He turned to the council. "Humans are different, but difference is not danger." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Kelvor stepped forward and placed his scaled hand on theirs. One by one, other council members added their hands, green hands, blue hands, hands with claws and tentacles. Elder Vrix raised the joined hands high. "The Federation welcomes humanity." The room erupted in cheers. Back on the ship later, the humans could barely believe it. "We did it," Yuna whispered, tears in her eyes. Daehyun laughed loudly. "I need a drink." Suman was already at her computer. "I'm downloading all the Federation science files we're allowed to access." Jihoon sat quietly, looking at his hand, the same hand that had started everything. Kelvor appeared at the doorway. "You should know," he said, "not everyone is happy about this." Jihoon nodded. "We'll prove them wrong." The alien's frills twitched in what might have been a smile. "I believe you will." As Kelvor left, Jihoon looked at his team. The real work was just beginning. But for the first time in history, humans weren't alone in the universe. And it had all started with a simple handshake. One Earth year had passed since the handshake that changed everything. Kim Jihoon stood on the observation deck of the massive Federation space station, looking down at Earth. From here, his home planet looked peaceful, blue and green and full of life. So much had changed. The door slid open behind him. Lee Yuna entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You always come here to think," she said, handing him a cup. Jihoon smiled. Hard to believe it's only been a year. Below them, dozens of ships moved between Earth and the station. Human and alien vessels working together, trading, learning. It hadn't been easy at first. ***, 6 months earlier ***. The first human-alien trade meeting was going badly. Captain Daehyun slammed his fist on the table. "These trade rules are unfair." The alien merchant, a large being with orange skin, hissed angrily. "You humans want special treatment." Han Suman quickly stepped between them. "Wait. Maybe we can find another way." She pulled out a small device. "What if we modify the cargo containers like this?" The alien studied her drawings. Its face slowly changed. This could work. Asterisk asterisk 3 months earlier asterisk asterisk. Una stood before the Federation Language Council, nervous but determined. Human languages have something special, she explained. They can change and grow in ways yours don't. The alien linguists didn't believe her at first. Then she showed them something amazing. Human poetry. One alien, its skin like tree bark, touched the words with delicate fingers. This is beautiful. Now human literature was being translated across the galaxy. Asterisk asterisk present day asterisk asterisk. Ji-hoon sipped his coffee. Remember how scared we were during the trials? Una laughed. Now we're the ones helping new species join the Federation. A beep came from the wall. Ambassador Ji-hoon, said a mechanical voice. Your meeting with the Tellurian delegation begins in 10 minutes. Ji-hoon sighed. Duty calls. As they walked through the station's busy halls, aliens of all shapes and sizes greeted them. Some waved, some bowed. A few even tried human handshakes. The Tellurians were a new species, just beginning space travel. They looked nervous as Ji-hoon entered the meeting room. The lead Tellurian, a small being with large black eyes, spoke first. We don't understand Federation customs. Ji-hoon smiled. He remembered feeling exactly the same way. That's okay, he said. We'll help you learn. He started to extend his hand, then paused. Or we can use your greeting. What feels right to you? The Tellurians blinked in surprise. No one had ever asked them that before. Their leader made a soft chirping sound, then touched its own forehead with 2 fingers. Ji-hoon carefully copied the gesture. The Tellurians made happy clicking noises. The meeting went better after that. Later, as Ji-hoon walked back to his quarters, he passed a group of human and alien children playing together. They were inventing a new game using parts of different cultures. One human boy shook an alien girl's tentacle excitedly. This is fun. The girl said in slightly awkward English. Ji-hoon stopped to watch them, his heart full. This was why they had fought so hard. Not for power, not for glory. For moments like this, across the station, in a quiet office, Kelvor watched the same children on his screen. His frills twitched in what humans had learned was his version of a smile. On his desk sat a small framed picture, the famous image of that first handshake with Ji-hoon. The moment that shocked the galaxy. The moment everything changed.